A lot of people thought that we would not see that much action this trade deadline. Regardless of what they thought, I think we can already say that they were wrong. This trade deadline is definitely already living up to the hype. I know Nikola Vucevic may not be the biggest name to some people, but for basketball fans that watch the sport, that have seen Vooch play, I will tell you right now, this is definitely a big time trade. And this is a trade that shows the Magic are now willing to go into full rebuild mode. And it's a trade that also shows the Chicago Bulls want to go all in. Now, in my past couple of videos, I talked about teams that needed to rebuild and teams that were in denial. And I feel like the Magic and the Bulls both fit the criteria for teams that could rebuild but didn't necessarily want to. So we see the Magic going into rebuild mode and we see the Bulls pushing forward. Now, I'm not going to lie. This is a deal that I think could work out for both teams. If you're Chicago, you just picked up Nikola Vucevic. We're talking about a guy that's a threat for 20 and 10 every single night. We're talking about a guy you can dump the ball down on the block to and say, hey, let's go get a bucket. Let's run the offense through this guy. And your offense is going to stay afloat. As much as I love Larry, Vooch brings something completely different to the table. Yeah, they can both shoot, but Vooch does much more than just shoot the basketball. Now, before we talk about the details of the trade, I'm going to be giving away a free PS5 on my channel. All you have to do is subscribe and become Noti Gang. So right now, the full details of the trade are the Bulls are acquiring Nikola Vucevic and Al-Farouq Aminu, while the Orlando Magic are acquiring Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter, and 2 first-round picks. I'm not going to lie, that's a lot to give up for Vucevic, but he's a player that you have to give up a lot to get. Players like Vooch don't come around very often. He's somebody that has struck me as criminally underrated for some time. I definitely think he's somebody that has the potential to make one of the all-NBA teams. The Orlando Magic have been incredibly unlucky. They've struggled with injury for some times. For a very long time, it's felt like Vooch has been the only thing keeping the Orlando Magic afloat. And now he goes and he teams up with Zach LaVine, somebody that's dropping 30 a game, somebody that can shoot the lights out of the ball, somebody that's one of the best downhill players in the league. Zach LaVine in transition is an absolute terror. Now, I'm not exactly happy about the Bulls losing Wendell Carter Jr. I know some Bulls fans will be. Wendell definitely needed a change of scenery. I wanted Wendell to get traded to a team that would give him the opportunity to grow. Sometimes I think that change of scenery can definitely help players' careers for the better. Wendell's regression is weird, especially when you consider the promise that he showed very early on in his career. The crazy thing is, it's still very early in his career. Now, when it comes to Otto Porter, this is just a really weird situation. I don't know if the Magic plan on keeping Porter for the long term, but Porter is another one of those guys that I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on. 3-and-D players are being valued at an all-time high. And I have to take a second to talk about the weird career trajectory that Otto Porter has been on since his trade from the Washington Wizards. Otto went from being viewed as a franchise building block, not cornerstone, but building block, to somebody that teams view as expendable. Now, it is worth noting that the Chicago Bulls are not done just yet. They're still in the market and they're still looking to make moves. Chicago needs more defense. They know that. I think Chicago is honestly just looking to go out and outscore everybody every single night. And when you look at their lineup, I'm not sure that's outside of the realm of possibilities. Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, and guys I don't want to name because I fear they're going to get traded before the deadline. Yeah, Chicago is in a very interesting spot because this is a team that is fighting for the playoffs. Now, the pick that Chicago traded this year is top 4 protected. I want to know if you guys think that Chicago gave up too much to go out and acquire Nikola Vucevic. Vuce is good, but is he good enough to get Chicago to where they want to go? Now, I'm going to assume the best, and I'm going to assume that Chicago has moves lined up outside of this trade deadline that will help turn them into a big-time team in the near future. A lot of people hated on the Rockets trading for Westbrook, Chris Paul. Hey, look, check me out. People even hated on the Nets going all in. Now, these are two completely different situations. I'm not trying to necessarily compare them. I just want to make this statement. I'd rather swing for a home run and miss than not swing at all. If you're scared to go all in, why are you playing the game? Now, it's worth noting that Chicago is not done just yet. Reportedly, the Chicago Bulls are looking at Lauri Markkanen trades. This is one of the guys that I didn't want to name because I definitely see him being gone, if not at the deadline, in the near future. But beyond the Chicago Bulls looking at Lauri Markkanen, they are also still very much engaged in trying to acquire Lonzo Ball. Now, even if they don't get Lonzo at this trade deadline, I could see the Chicago Bulls being big-time bidders for Lonzo Ball when restricted free agency comes around, if Chicago does indeed have the funds. I can't tell you guys how many times I've seen Zoe being linked to the Chicago Bulls. And honestly, Zoe going to Chicago makes sense for both sides. Outside of Chicago being an incredible city, Zoe gets that big market that his father seemingly wants and that he seemingly wants if he's not able to remain in New Orleans. But outside of that, it's a move that makes sense basketball-wise. Vooch, Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball. While the Bulls have Kobe White's not a true point guard. Not yet. Zoe becoming this off-ball player that can shoot and defend makes him even more versatile than he's already been. Because now, Lonzo Ball doesn't have to have the ball in his hands to make an impact. When you're shooting the ball like Lonzo is, you're dragging people way out of the paint. You're that guy that people are saying, hey, don't let him shoot, don't let him shoot. So guys are crowding you, giving your offense more space to work with. Recently, Zoe's coming off like a 16, 17 assist game. People may have forgotten, but this guy can pass the lights out of the ball. You put him on ball too, good things are going to happen. Multi-positional defender with high upside. Sign me up for that any day. Now, this just in, the Celtics are acquiring Fournier for 2 second-round picks. Now, Fournier's defense is absolutely abysmal, but the Celtics get better with this move. Fournier can put the ball in the basket. This guy loves to score the ball, 20 points per game, 4 assists per game, 46% from the field, nearly 40% from the three-point line. He's moving to a team that has multiple versatile defenders. There's a lot to like with the Celtics getting Fournier. When it comes playoff time, you can't have enough guys that can score the ball in a half-court setting. Let me know what you guys think about the trades in the comments below. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm Get Like Coop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.